So thanks everybody for joining. We've got this for an hour. I hope to take less than that to show you guys what is happening in the move that we have planned to change over from jobs to applications. So this is something that you guys have probably been hearing about for a while. But it's finally happening. We have the implementation scheduled for this weekend, the 1st and 2nd. And unless we run into something in the next couple days that might prevent it from being this weekend, which could happen, that will go ahead. So you will start to see, you will see some big differences on Monday unless something comes up. There are going to be a few, hopefully minor process changes for most of the people in this room. I know for Field QC there are some kind of larger process changes that we'll kind of be covering in a separate meeting with the verifiers and the Field QC team. But I won't focus too much on those aspects unless you guys specifically want to kind of dig into some of those questions. I'll be focusing more on what are going to be the changes for people who handle desktop or customer service or stuff like that. What exactly is happening this weekend? We have a bunch of changes and customizations that we have made to our custom application object that we have in Salesforce so that it can handle advanced home upgrade. And we're going to be deploying all of those changes, all the new fields, page layouts, workflows, a few reports that people have asked to have. Those are all going to be deployed to the Salesforce that you guys all log into, our production Salesforce. We'll be migrating all of the job data into the application object. So all of these past jobs will exist in the database as applications. And we will be switching over our Compass integration so that it points not to the job anymore, but to the application record. So when updates happen in Compass that trigger some kind of a change in our Salesforce, you will find that it no longer updates the job. Jobs will rapidly become out of date. And applications will be the record that is the most up-to-date in terms of work, and status changes that take place in Compass. So we're holding this meeting to kind of discuss what the change means for you and to help kind of prepare you to use these applications. You may be wondering, and I don't know that we really got too deep into explaining with most of you why we wanted to make this change. So I think it's a good idea to do that right now. The first thing that came up was we wanted to free up the opportunities object. Right now, jobs in Salesforce are actually this standard Salesforce object called opportunities that it has a lot of great functionality built in, just standard to the platform to support really processes having to do with sales and outreach. And in order to be able to facilitate better account management where we are keeping track of real opportunities to bring in more work to our programs, that is something that we have decided we would like to be able to use. As many of you have seen, we have done a lot over the last few months to build out functionality for the ACQC program. There's a lot of great functionality there around enrollment, around desktop and field QC processes, and then of course we have the contractor portal, and we want to do all these things for advanced in time. And in order to be able to reuse what we've built as effectively and efficiently as possible, it really helps to have this coming from the same object. Other reasons for the change, we can better align our programs. This gives us the chance to kind of use a lot of the same data fields across programs, which gives us, the opportunity whenever we're considering, implementing something on one program, we can consider whether it would be beneficial for all of our programs and implement it across programs if we need to. We can do much better cross-program reporting. We can do reports on applications, whether it's advanced or basic home upgrade or even ACQC all together in the same report. We can do that kind of reporting. External collaboration is cheaper, and that is actually no small thing. We can have external people use applications in our Salesforce on a much cheaper license than the one that is the full license that we currently have to use for people like outside PG&E people, for our external field verifiers, external desktop reviewers. All of these people have the same expensive license that we use here internally for our staff, and we can get away from that by using a custom object instead of the standard opportunities object. Last but not least, it is a little bit of a chance for us to clean up. There were a lot of unused and misused fields on the job object, and this has given us the opportunity as we've gone through this process to clean that up. So as we're looking at this, I do want to say that we would love to hear your ideas and suggestions when it comes to stuff like the way that we've labeled fields, the way that the pages are laid out, the kinds of list views that we provide for you to browse applications, the reports and dashboards that are available, although we won't really get into those today. Any workflows you'd like to see happening behind the scenes, any new interfaces like the enrollment interfaces that we have for ACQC or the desktop review interfaces. Those are all kind of things that we're thinking about anyway, but any new ideas you have about those, etc. But for today, because I want to get through showing you guys just kind of an overview, I don't want to get too much into the details of your suggestions, except if you do have something that is like a big exclamation mark, like you see something that will prevent us from being able to do our jobs on Monday, or somebody who works on applications. That would be a big red flag that we'd want to try to raise and address as soon as possible. But I will be providing a Google Doc link to everybody so that you can provide your input. And now to the demo. So we are in the sandbox right now. I'll do a little zoom in so that we can see stuff a little better, hopefully. This is one of the sandboxes for our PG&E Salesforce, and so the full data doesn't actually exist here. I can't search for everything that you could search for in our production Salesforce. But a lot of the kind of framework stuff is in here, and there was an upload of, I think, about 200 sample jobs were uploaded to the applications in the sandbox here so that we can take a look. I will start just by kind of pointing out that there's been a little bit of a cleanup of the app menu for Advanced Home Upgrade, you'll notice jobs doesn't show up. You can still access old jobs. We won't be deleting them right away, and you can find them the way that you would usually find an object that isn't on your default list of tabs. And there were a few other things that I wasn't really sure what they were doing there. If you see something missing here and you're like, I have to have that, then let's definitely talk about what we need to add back in there. But I was thinking that I might take that opportunity to kind of clean this as well. Additionally, you're going to find, and this actually goes across programs and counts for more than just advanced. When we combined all the list views from the job object with all the list views that already existed on applications for ACQC and Home Upgrade, it became this really, really terrible looking and extremely long list of list views, and there wasn't very much synchronicity among the way that things were named. What I've gone ahead and done here in order to address that is I've streamlined and also cut down on the overall number of list views. And one of the main methods that I used for cutting down on those list views is that I replaced all of the ones that reference individual people, like individual desktop reviewers and individual field QC verifiers. I replaced all of those list views with these my type lists. So if you are looking for your own assignments, whether you're working on ACQC desktop or Advanced Home Upgrade, Field QC, you can look for My Open Assignments to find the applications that are assigned to you under either desktop or Field QC, as the case may be. So that's something just to take note of here.
So will that take you to anyone's open assignments or to your personal view?
It will take you to your assignments, so the ones that have been assigned to you as the viewer, as the person who's logged in. So if you want to find somebody else's open assignments, you can always go to all open assignments, and you can sort by who the verifier is.
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
The menu options at the top, you said you clean those up. For our personal views, we can still add whatever we want. So if you want.
Absolutely, absolutely. You can. And actually, this list, it's a pretty long list in its own right. I do plan to create some different groups and define them in the back end of Salesforce, where if you don't work on ACQC at all, you may not have to look at any of this. So I'll try to find ways to streamline, but for people here internally, I think I'll definitely err on the side of showing you as many of these lists as possible so that you can access them. And you're welcome also, as always, to add new list views to your view. Yeah, that's a good point. Kind of going into the way that you're going to find some of these Advanced Home Upgrade applications. I've got a few in here. You'll notice that we've got the confirmation code here is now its own field and is not actually the name anymore of the record. Because we're moving on to applications, this APP record ID is going to apply to all of what had previously been jobs and had this kind of name before.
That will be in Compass as well?
In Compass, you will continue to use this.
Okay.
This will not actually be in Compass.
Oh, okay.
What gets submitted to BRS?
This, I believe, will continue to be submitted to BRS.
But we'll search for, we can search for it by the application number? Is that just like an, okay.
Yes, you can search for it either way.
Okay,
You
either.
can search on anything.
Cool.
Yeah, you can search on, in Salesforce, just about any field is searchable.
Yeah.
That comes in from Compass and gets assigned this application number. Okay.
Yes, when it comes in from Compass, it'll get a new number. It'll generate a new number. It'll be unique.
And is there some? So for ACQC, will it have a different, let's say, app?
ACQC will continue to say app, so
They all will.
they will all say app.
We know it's an
There will be no overlapping numbers across those programs, but they'll all take this kind of format.
But there's a record type associated with them, so we can tell
Mhm.
which one
Yes.
is which.
Absolutely, yes. So
But the number itself, we can't distinguish between numbers.
not all by itself, no. So we put some of the fields in this list view that had been prioritized on similar list views on the job object. If we need to make changes to those, we can. That's no problem.
Sorry, can I ask one quick question?
Yeah.
When we assign the job ID to a case, does it matter if we use the confirmation code or the application number? Because right now we've been using the confirmation code.
It will be the application number.
Okay.
When you assign it to the case. Are we okay to move on from here? Actually, I'll just point out kind of what these different list views are in case I was a little bit too quick going through them. I've created an all applications one that we've seen that will just show basically all applications that are of that record type. There will be all of the open assignments that are in desktop, all the open assignments that belong to the person who's viewing it. I don't have any desktop assignments, so it won't show anything here, but if I were to, I can see all of the open ones and who's assigned here if I wanted to, find the ones that are assigned to Ruth, for example. And then there is one for unassigned. So I know that it is important to be able to assign these out. This is something I think Torsten's doing. Is that? Katrina's doing it now. Okay. So for whoever it is that's assigning these out, we have this list view for the ones that are unassigned so that you can do as you've been doing. Now this has also changed, and I'll describe when we open up one of these records in a little bit more detail, the process of assignment. So as you're probably well aware, before on the job object we had this field called assign to, and it was a drop-down. Currently, in order to kind of bring this closer in line with what we've set up for ACQC and basic home upgrade, we're using this desktop reviewer field, which is a lookup to a user in Salesforce. So a lot of these users are not actually in Salesforce right now, but if I wanted to, maybe they are. Let's find out. So if I wanted to assign this to Katrina, yeah, okay. So I could find Katrina and assign it to her this way. You'll notice that what used to happen before will no longer actually happen, in that the owner doesn't change. We didn't want to mess too much with the owner on the advanced home upgrade application, primarily because there's possibly a future in which we implement some kind of a portal for this program that where the owner would actually have to be the person who submits it in order for us to know who should have permission to view and update that record. So we're So in the future, when we have a portal, we may find that instead of one of our internal staff here, the owner may be the contractor who submitted it, or the person who works for that contractor.
So right now, it kind of should be PSD, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure. When we do change the integration over, I'm not sure who the owner will appear to be. It might very well be PSD for the time being.
The person that was here for a week. There's some random.
That's always
Yeah, the owner is going to be PSD integration.
Okay, says Danny. All right. So the moral of the story is you can ignore the owner now.
For the time being, until we actually have a portal.
Yes, until we actually have a portal, in which case it will become it'll be reused for that.
Yeah, if you have a portal, the owner will be the user who log into the portal and submit for a job, like SGQC or AHUP.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So the application page layout here, we tried to put it together in a way that it would look fairly familiar to you. We tried, first of all, to kind of align it to the way that things are laid out for ACQC, because, over time, I think it'll be a benefit to everybody if the application pages look somewhat the same, where you don't have to kind of where somebody coming in new doesn't have to relearn a layout completely for every single application type. But for the stuff that never existed on the application before, we took cues from how it had been laid out on the job. So we're certainly willing to take your input in terms of where fields should go that would make the most sense to you. But we tried to employ that kind of a methodology for laying this out, and I hope that for the most part it makes sense. So there's a few process things that, in addition to the assignment process that I just covered, that we can talk about here. One of them is flagging for field QC. Now, previously, we had this box that was flagged for field QA on the job, and people who were doing desktop would check it if they saw something where they thought that maybe we should send out a verifier for that job. And then people on the field QC team would also check the box, not because they necessarily saw anything in particular that would warrant that, but just because they were kind of picking at random, and it ended up that was the one that they ended up selecting. Many of you have probably become familiar with this concept already because we use it for ACQC and basic home upgrade, but now also for advanced home upgrade, we will be kind of splitting that out so that we can track whether it's actually desktop who is flagging it because of something that they see that concerns them, or if it's just that application ended up getting selected through our kind of random selection processes that are, now mostly manual, but hopefully in the future will be more automatic. But in order to actually flag it for field QC, what we're going to do is like on ACQC and a home upgrade, this field will actually be read-only on the page layout, and the way that you'll toggle that checkbox is by clicking this button up here to flag for field QC. So similar to ACQC and in home upgrade again, and let's see if this actually works. Hopefully I'm not breaking the sandbox.
It's sand. You can't break it.
Okay. Yeah. So this will be a similar thing. So by filling this out and hitting next, it'll close the window. And actually, because this is the sandbox, I can just go ahead and do it and show you what's going to happen. Home has propane. Thank you. And if I click next, it'll do what it does for the other thing, and it checks the box. And in addition to that, it creates a new application note that says, when it was created, who created it, what kind of type it is, and all that. So hopefully that works for everybody.
When the FQC is sample collecting, they don't use the same field anymore, right?
No, they don't. So what they will just do is actually go ahead and assign it, and by so doing, they'll, it'll be tracked in
the active assignment.
The active assigning it, that'll be tracked in application history as one of the kind of events. Yeah. So so there are some changes to the field QC process, and I don't actually think I want to go too much into detail on that. I don't want everybody's lunch to be too late here. But as far as a few other things that you may want to do on an application, I know it's possible that you may want to attach a file to it. We are using the application file object, similar to on ACQC and Home Upgrade, for you to attach files to these. Similarly, you have to create the record first. So this is a file, and you can give it some kind of a type. It's photos. And you'll notice there's no place to to attach it just when you're creating the record, but once you've created it, then you can attach a file, or you can choose the file. Hey, I want that picture, attach it.
One thing I did note, Matthew, maybe you can tell me, when you upload or when you attach multiple files, it doesn't tell you what you've attached. So let's say, for example, you attach that file and then you want to attach another one in the same window before you hit OK.
Yeah.
What you've attached is overwritten the newly attached item, so you don't see the log of what you attached. And sometimes for, at least if it has a direct for desktop review, when we've gone back and populated the application, we've got a list of 3, and then we lose track of what we've uploaded.
Yeah. So this is a good process question. I'm going to say for these files, I think it would be best practice to keep one file per application file record. If you need a new application file, I think it's a good idea to create a new application file. We designed this to kind of handle one file at a time. Another reason for that is that within this application file record, you do have that 5 megabyte limit. So if you're attaching multiple files, there's a good chance that you might exceed that limit. So I would say overall best practice is to go ahead and create a new application file record and put the file into that. Similarly, notes, if you want to add a note, you can do that. Some of these won't apply, but you can always add a comment and say, reinforce that the home has lots of propane. And some of these checkboxes, as with the application, I would leave them as is. But there's, I think, as we continue to develop stuff like our portal, and we develop a place for the contractor to see different notes that we are taking publicly, we can either opt for it to be public or not. Here, by checking this box, these fields I would not pay attention to because they are part of a process that we're probably phasing out. So those are fine to ignore. But that will again create another note under here. So as with other things, you can log calls. And if you know how to log a call and you log calls, then you're probably familiar with that. And if you're not, then maybe talk to somebody who is. Any questions right now?
A couple questions that came in through the chat box.
Through the chat box. Let me actually open up the chat boxes. Yeah, no, I just wasn't paying attention to the chat box, Sean. Sorry about that.
I think that first one is about auto-assigning applications for review.
It's not letting me pop it out. Why? I have to expand. Okay, can we get Salesforce to auto-assign? The answer is until we have logic for that documented, no. And I don't even know if there is even, if it, it kind of is down to, if you guys want some kind of an auto assignment process, you have to kind of take a look real close to determine if that's even possible, because you may find that the way that you actually, the logic that you use as human beings to assign these things goes way beyond kind of what would be reasonable to write in terms of code.
It's been discussed before.
Mm-hmm.
The manager decision.
It would probably only come into the realm of consideration if there was significant increase in volume.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that, you have to take a lot of factors into consideration when you're deciding whether to assign something to somebody or not. Okay. So can Salesforce generate how many jobs were assigned to a certain reviewer? Absolutely, yeah. We can certainly report on that. Is there a protocol in place to flag for field QC? Seems as though any reason can be a reason for flagging. That's something that you guys can probably work out in your kind of internal protocol discussions. We make the functionality available, but obviously a question of what merits flagging for field QC is one that I'm not really qualified to address. So those would be my answers.
That's a topic for desktop QA.
And you'll follow up with?
Yeah, and the quick answer is propane is the primary one right now, but if there are significantly questionable data in a CAS form, that would be probably the next most likely.
We have a list of 5 things in our participation workshop webinar.
Yeah.
Okay. Great.
Ultimately, it's up to the FQC staff to see if they can get something scheduled. There are real practical issues surrounding whether that can actually happen.
Great. Other questions?
Does it impact partner portal in any way?
It does not, because
They don't have access to applications.
no, not currently. But having it on applications instead of on opportunities does mean that should we ever need to expose applications on to Stacy, we are able to do that. Anything else?
Will there be any changes that the contractors will see, or is it on our end?
The contractors will not see any changes as far as I'm aware. They will continue to log into Compass for all of this stuff. In the future, there will be changes that will be enabled by the fact that we've done this, but not on Monday.
And then how will reports be affected?
So any reports that took place that were reports on the job object, obviously those will unfortunately not work. Or they will show old data is what they will do. It will become outdated. The further away we get from this switchover, the more outdated they'll be. So we didn't really get a very long list from folks when we sent out an email a couple months ago asking what reports needed to be recreated. Hopefully, with most of us here who have played around with reports, it's often I find if I need a report, I'm not usually opening up an old one. I'm reporting creating a new one from scratch because it's easier for me to do that than to try to find the old one that I created. Reports are easy to recreate, and if you need help with recreating any reports that were especially important to you, I'm happy to do that.
There was a button down lower that said mail merge.
Mail merge.
So I would call mail merge.
Yeah, I'm not super duper familiar, but I think it might be where you, yeah, I think this might be like if you have some kind of a template that's been established in Salesforce, you can call on that. Oh, unsupported. Okay, so I can't do it in the sandbox, but there can be templates where it'll pull in information from the application to the template if you want to send out an email. That kind of stuff. Cool. Yeah. Yeah, it actually is kind of cool. It might be something worth thinking about.
Its own training session, I think.
Yeah, we don't have any templates right now, but if you're thinking about any emails that you want to templateify.
I have some ideas.
And Sean did have another question, but I think Torsten has another one for desktop review.
Yeah, it's not specifically relevant to this. But
Okay, looks like Sean's been asking a couple more questions about assignment, but once again, I think you guys probably need to have that discussion internally with your folks, and as to what that logic would be. I don't know if Salesforce is able to go into your calendars and see your availability, so that's kind of a consideration.
It should.
So.
it's not like DARPA.
All right. Well, thanks everybody.
Thank you.
And I hope this was helpful. And if you have any questions or ideas, I look forward to capturing those and continuing to enhance this as we go ahead.
Thank you for the update, Matthew.
Yeah.
You're welcome.